Harvesting seeds can be a very rewarding hobby, and if you haven't done it before, I'm just going to talk you through some of the advantages. Firstly, of course, you're saving money on buying seeds and plants. The seeds can be a backup if you lose certain plants over winter. And of course, there'll be many plants that you might want to regrow in the following year. For example, with annuals, or plants like ricinus that are grown as annuals because they won't survive our winters, or biannuals like echium that only grow for 2 years, and monocarpic plants that die after flowering. It's also a great way to be able to share seeds with your friends or family. The RHS run a seed scheme for members, and if you're interested to know more about this, I'll put a link to their website on my description. You can also join groups like the Hardy Plant Society who run seed swap schemes. Again, the link is in the description if you want some more information on this. And of course, if you allow your seeds to be naturally pollinated by insects, then you're likely to get genetic variation in your seeds, and you could find yourself producing some interesting new varieties. For example, if you collect dahlia seeds, then every seed is genetically different from each other and will produce very different plants. In most cases, October is the perfect time to harvest seeds. We will have normally stopped deadheading the flowers by then, and the flowers will die back naturally. And at the base of the dead flower, the seed pod will start to develop. If you harvest your seed pod too early, then the seeds will be immature and they won't germinate. In most cases, when the seed pod starts to turn brown, the seeds are nearly viable. Although it's best to make sure that they are really ready, and you can see this one here is just starting to split open, ready to spread the seed naturally. The Cleome is a really easy one to collect seeds from. You can see the green pods here underneath the flower. And then once they turn brown and they start to split open, then the seeds are ready for harvesting and you will get an abundance of them. And with some plants, such as canna or crocosmia, you can actually see the seeds starting to burst out of the pod when they are ready to be harvested. Ideally, you want to collect your seed when the weather is dry. If you're collecting seeds during sustained rainfall, then they're more likely to be damp and susceptible to mould. It's also advisable to make sure that the plant you're collecting from is in good health. Not only will this help avoid transferring diseases to your new plants, but also you're more likely to have viable seed in a healthy plant. If possible, you should collect seed from different plants because this will help to ensure genetic diversity. Some seeds will be held in their pods for longer and they're much easier to collect, whereas others may be dispersed as soon as they're ready to be harvested. In these cases, it can be a good idea to tie a net or cloth bag around the seed so that it can fall into the bag when it's ready. When collecting seeds, it's a good idea to go round with a paper bag, or if you haven't got one, a plastic bag will do. Place the seed pod on some paper, a paper towel, blotting paper or some brown paper. You may find it easier to line a tray with paper. It's best to leave the pods to make sure they've dried out properly, so leave them on the tray for about 7 days. The drier you can keep your seeds, then the less chance there is of them going mouldy. You can see here all the seeds that are stacked up inside the lily flower. With some pods, you'll be able to just tip the seeds onto the paper. You may need to give them a bit of a squeeze or a shake to get all of the seeds out. I tend to leave my seeds for another week in the kitchen paper just to make sure that they have fully dried out. Make sure you keep your seeds in a warm, dry room with good ventilation to help with the drying process, ideally in an airing cupboard. Some people will often say that you can test the viability of seeds by putting it in water and seeing if it floats. Floating seeds are often not viable, and those that sink are viable. However, this isn't a reliable method, and some seeds do travel naturally on water. So just be aware that if you are going to use this method to test viability, it may not be 100% accurate. My preferred method for testing viability of seeds is to sow a few of them early, and if you've got a good rate of germination from them, then chances are the rest of your seeds are going to be fine. Although a large number of plants that we grow in our garden will form seeds in this way, there are some other examples, like with the impatiens, which spreads its seed by exploding. In this way, the seed can travel several meters, but it means you have to be very careful when harvesting not to set this off, or you may lose all of the seeds. It's said that the name impatiens comes from its impatience to spread its seed, but unfortunately I don't yet have any seed pods to show you. You should also be aware of seeds that are toxic when harvesting, such as those of the ricinus. The poison ricin comes from these seeds, so it would be a good idea to use gloves or make sure you really wash your hands thoroughly after you've been handling these seeds. Also, make sure that you're storing them away from children or pets. It's best to make sure that you remove all of the plant material from your seeds and dispose of it, as this will reduce the chances of mould forming. You can see inside the ricinus you're left just with a little bean. Another plant that you may prefer to wear gloves when handling is chili peppers. Those who have handled chili pepper seeds before may know that it's not advisable to rub your eyes or touch other parts of your body, even after washing your hands thoroughly. Chilies are also an example of a plant where you will not wait for the seed pod to turn brown and crispy first. Normally you wait for the chili to turn bright red, however some varieties of chili don't go red, so you really do need to know your variety. Chili pepper seeds should look white and they shouldn't look translucent. The flesh from the chili should be washed off and the seeds should be fully dried before storing. This is an example of a dahlia that was harvested too early. You can see the seeds inside are too thin and are not viable. When the dahlia is ready to be harvested, the petals should just flake away and you can see the seeds sitting within the petals. It's a bit like peeling away the layers of an onion and finding a seed inside each layer. Note that the viable seed is dark brown and bottle-shaped. And as I said earlier, with dahlia seeds, they will not be true to the parent plant. They will each be different. Always make sure you've labelled all of your seeds while you're leaving them to dry. No matter how much you think you're going to remember what you've collected, it's so easy to forget. Seeds are best stored in the fridge, but if you can't do that, make sure that you've got them stored in paper bags and keep them in as cool a drier condition as you can. These seed envelopes are absolutely perfect for storing seeds and making sure you label them. And in the past I've used compartmentalised containers to store my seeds. And although this was very convenient, it wasn't very easy to organise as I started to collect more and more seeds. So I've now moved to a ring binder. This enables me to use dividers so I know exactly which seeds are going to be stored where, and Ziploc bags to make sure that my seeds are securely stored and nothing's going to fall out. Although I'm still in the process of transferring all my seeds over to this system, I think this is going to work a lot better for me. Adding silica gel bags will just help to make sure that your seeds are being stored in dry conditions. But just a word of warning if you are looking to sell seeds. To sell any seeds that are considered a food crop, you do need to have a licence in the UK. And this includes things like sunflowers, that although we may think we're growing them for the flowers, of course you can get sunflower oil from them. If you're in any doubt as to whether it's legal for you to sell the seeds, head over to the government website. I'll put a link in the description and you can check what you can sell on there, and you can even email them for advice if needed. If you're enjoying this content, then please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel. This is still a new channel, so every subscriber really does make a difference. You can also turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any of my new videos. And please let me know what you think in the comments because they really do help my channel to grow. You can also follow me on social media for links to my latest videos and my photo of the day, in which I usually share photos of flowers from my garden, along with their names if known. You can follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, or you can join my Facebook group to ask questions or share photos. And you can find all of my YouTube videos on the Freya's Tropical Garden website, which I will also be expanding to provide advice pages as well as items for sale. Links to these pages are included in my description.